That's some crazy timing, ain't it? Just in today's video from earlier, we were talking about the Baltimore Ravens' biggest need, and that it's a cornerback, and how we expected the Baltimore Ravens to sign a veteran cornerback and still address it through the draft too. But then a couple of hours after we dropped the video, the Ravens say, you know what? Watch this. We got y'all. And in breaking news, the Baltimore Ravens have signed veteran cornerback Chidobe Awuzie. Team, keep it clean. We got a lot to talk about. Before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications on, and leave a like on the video so you can stay up to date with everything going down with our Baltimore Ravens. So, in this news, the Baltimore Ravens are signing Chidobe Awuzie on a one-year deal. And get this. We're going to talk about the money. We're going to talk about the fit. We're going to talk about all of that. But let's get to the salary first. It is a minimum deal. So, a veteran minimum deal. But how did they get him for so cheap, and why? What's the reasoning? Well, it says since Tennessee cut Chidobe Awuzie this offseason, and they still owe him $7.5 million. So he's getting that $7.5 million from Tennessee, and with the Baltimore Ravens, he's getting the vet minimum. So right there, off rip, this is a low risk, extremely low risk, and a potential high reward for the Baltimore Ravens with signing Cheeto. Anyway, this from Jess Rebick now. He said the Ravens needed a vet cornerback, which we know they certainly did, because their cornerbacks on the roster, like we talked about earlier today, is Marlon Humphrey. Okay, he done started a million games. Nate Wiggins, he started a lot last season, not a million games, but last season was his first season start. Okay, cool. He's a starter now. But other than that, TJ Tampa, he ain't ever started yet. And Jalen Alma-Davis, he ain't been a starter either. So, yeah, there were some holes there. And they're not done. This is just a start. They're not done at cornerback, though. So don't think, that's it for the Ravens. No, because they still could possibly sign another veteran. But they will certainly address it through the draft as well. Anyway, Jess Rebick also highlighted how Awuzie has started 81 games throughout his career. Now, when I first saw that the Baltimore Ravens signed Chidobe Awuzie, I got happy. I really like the move. And the reason I like this move is because he fits what the Baltimore Ravens like in a cornerback: physicality. I remember him most from his time with the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, we'll see him 2 times a year. But last year, he was with the Titans. And before he was with the Bengals, 4 years ago, he was with the Dallas Cowboys. But he is a physical corner. And that's something that the Baltimore Ravens, they cherish with their cornerbacks. I remember when the Ravens first drafted Marlon Humphrey. He was a rookie. And in preseason, Marlon Humphrey, I forgot who the running back was. I don't even remember who the player was. But Marlon Humphrey, he had dropped that shoulder and he had flipped somebody. I don't know if y'all remember it. But I said, he physical like that. Okay, I like it. Nate Wiggins, same thing too. First round draft pick at cornerback when he first came on to the Ravens. And it was in preseason too. Nate Wiggins, he had dropped that shoulder and he took somebody out, but then he ended up taking himself out for a little bit too. But after that, he ended up being just fine, and Nate Wiggins was good to go. But again, the physicality. Brandon Stephens, and this is, in my opinion, it's not a shot at Brandon Stephens, but this is an upgrade over Brandon Stephens. It is. But with Brandon Stephens, the greatest characteristic for him was his physicality. That man was not afraid to make no tackle. He was not afraid to make no hit on nobody. And that's the same way with Cheetah. Same way with Awuzie. So, but will he be as sticky in coverage as Brandon Stephens? It's to be determined. But I do know for a fact that he is a better playmaker on the ball than Brandon Stephens. So that... that was our biggest concern with Brandon Stephens. And really, whoever was going to be the corner, opposite Marlon Humphrey, opposite Nate Wiggins, just be better than what we had. Just be better. Because if Marlon logging somebody up, my boy Nate Wiggins, if he logging somebody up, then on the other side, you ain't got to be locked down. You can be, great if you are. But just be ready to make a play on the ball. Because Marlon Humphrey hit his... making plays on the ball. He upgraded that a lot last year. Nate Wiggins was a rookie, but we saw the growth throughout the year for him. He just got to learn how to catch. They got to get him on a jugs machine a bit more. But with Brandon Stevens, it was a struggle all year. Because as we know, as y'all know, he would be right there with his guy, but just he wouldn't make a play on the ball. Now, Chidobe Awuzie, he is not no ball hawk or anything like that. But again, this is certainly an upgrade from Brandon Stevens. This is a move that I like. I know the Baltimore Ravens love it because they ain't have to spend no money, and it doesn't go against the compensatory pick formula. Who knows how many comp picks they even gonna get from this year? They lost Brandon Stevens, so that could possibly be one. Patrick McCarry, that could be another one. And I know that I'm missing somebody else, a free agent who they lost as well, but I can't remember all of them off the top of my head right now. But this is a good move, and this gives you an option. This does not, right now, the way that the team is, I do expect him to be that other starter that we've been missing. But this does not tie you down to it being, all right, Chido, that's our starter for sure on week 1. All right, that's it. Now, if that is the case, that's fine. I ain't got no problem with that. I got zero problem with that. And then you think about this, too. With Chido, you think about him individually. All right, upgrade over Brandon Stevens. But then you think about everybody who's going to be around him. You think about the Roquan Smiths. You think about Marlon Humphrey, Nate Wiggins, who we mentioned earlier. You think about Nnamdi Madubuike, Travis Jones, Odafe Away in contract year. You think about Super Duper Kyle. You think about AW29 Ardarius Washington. You think about all those people that are around him on this Baltimore Ravens defense and how they can make him that much better. And again, I hate to have to keep going back to this, but it is an upgrade over Brandon Stevens. And look how great Baltimore Ravens defense was. Even with how they started off them first 10 weeks was a big yikes. Even with how their pass rush could be very inconsistent throughout the year, and especially in the playoffs. Oh, my goodness, it went MIA. But look how great the Baltimore Ravens defense was. And we know how Brandon Stevens struggled literally the entire year. Think about year 2 in that same defense. So now Zach Orr, he's like, okay, this is what I need to, this is what I had to fix. All right, this is what I need to adjust. Year 2 in the defense now. All the core players pretty much back. You're going to add some outside guys like you just did. You're going to add some pieces through the draft, and you're going to sign some more veterans and whatnot. But now it's year 2 in this defense. Remember Mike McDonald? Remember him? Remember year 1? Year 1, it was a struggle for a lot of year 1. But then he kind of found his groove at the end of year 1. And then year 2, it was lights out, baby. In a good way. Not in a bad way. In a good way. So with Zach Orr, I'm envisioning a lot of the same thing. Because we remember, like, we would have conversation with Mike McDonald defense in the beginning. We were like, ooh, yikes, did the Baltimore Ravens make the right decision? Had them same conversations about Zach Orr's defense early on in the year. But then we saw what changed. And we saw that it did change for the better. Because it could have changed for the worse. Ravens could have went from having the 36th ranked defense to having like the 45th ranked defense. And it looked like it was heading that way. But after week 11, everything was on point. So now you just continue that. And you just upgraded your secondary. So you are in very, very great shape to have consistency with a good to a great defense moving forward. This deal it's a no-brainer for the Baltimore Ravens. This deal is a great move for the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm looking forward to them not stopping here, but continuing to upgrade the secondary because, as y'all know, stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready. So now we reach my favorite part of these videos where we get to feature your questions. If you would like to take part in it, you can send an email to teamkeepitclean@gmail.com, or for the patrons, you can send it in a DM directly on Patreon. And if you would like to join them, you can go to patreon.com/Ingravenvids. I love y'all, Team Keep It Clean. Especially make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel and turn them notifications on so you don't miss nothing. First questions came from my guy, Jarvo. He said, heard your take on us drafting T-Mac if he is available. But in my opinion, there are better receivers in this draft like Matthew Golden. I've been hearing a lot about him recently. over the past like 2 days. He said, who ran a 4.29, who is 6 foot. Oh, that's some speed right there, boy. That's a straight up speed. And he said, Alec Ayo out of Stanford, who is 6'2 and ran a 4.4. And Trey Harris, who is 6'3 and 2'10 and ran a 4.5 out of Ole Miss. Steve Smith said T-Mac takes plays off and seems to be disengaged when not the focus point. And even heard Coach Evans say the same thing about him. Ooh, that's scary right there. Because if you're a Ravens receiver, like, hey, you gonna get some opportunities, but then there's gonna be other times when you ain't gonna be involved, man. Especially, hey, Derrick Henry get to going, and Justice Hill get it, and then them tight ends get to going too. There gonna be some times where you just sitting there chilling and whatnot. But yeah, it's tough as a pass catcher just in general to continue to stay engaged. I was just watching Carmelo Anthony's podcast. I forgot what it's called, but he was talking to Slim Reaper, Devontae Smith from the Eagles, and he was talking about this, how it is so hard to really stay focused and stay engaged with the team and stuff and with the offense if you're not getting the ball. And especially, he said, as a receiver, everything has to go right in order for you to get the ball. Because he said you could run the nicest route, you could be wide open, you could beat your cornerback, and then the quarterback could get sacked. Or the offensive line, they won't hold up. Or just something could happen and your opportunity won't end up coming. So it's so tough. So I get that. Anyway, he said, I prefer us to draft a receiver in the later rounds, but let D-Hop work with all of our receivers and give Tez and Wade a shot to be in our offense. Dayton Wade. That would be something. Now, will he get it with undrafted rookie free agent last year? From Ole Miss too, I believe, right? Anyway, he said, I'd love for us to trade up to get an O-line and maybe trade back in the first or second to get a pass rusher, corner, or safety like a Malachi Starks out of Georgia. Let's draft playmakers and bullies. I love that. He said, Tez is our T-Mac if we actually develop him and put him more on the field, and he is a speedster. We're going to see. We're going to see how they feel about Tez Walker this year. He said, been hearing from multiple Ravens content that the front office already penciled in for Voorhees to be our starting left guard and that Ben is going to be our new Pat McCarry. I can see that happening. I can see that, especially because they signed him to the super vet minimum deal. No bonuses and no guarantees. So it's like, woo, yikes. But anyway, he said, sorry for the long but not so long message, but I'm ready for us to win it all instead of just being comfortable with only being contenders. Yeah, it's been annoying. It's been pretty annoying just because Ravens be right there. They're right there. But hopefully this will be the year where they get over that hump. He also said, what are your thoughts on LJ making an appearance in Power? We happy for him. Happy for him that he getting those opportunities that he wanted. So shout out to Lamar. Next question came from my guy Terrell B. Hey, shout out to you and shout out to your pops too, man. He said, what's up, Ingravenvids? Been a while. Hope all is well with you and the fam. Everything is great. I appreciate you. He said, what do you think about the possible rule change on special teams to move the kicker 5 yards back to the 30-yard line on kickoffs? And if you get a touchback, the ball starts at the 35-yard line instead of the 30 line this year. I just feel like with kickoffs, it's like, man, just don't fix what ain't broken. I feel like they keep tinkering with kickoffs. I remember having a conversation with my guy Tariq like years ago, and I told him like I just feel like they're gonna take the kickoffs out completely. And I thought that was gonna happen like years ago. It hasn't happened, at least not yet, and I hope it doesn't because it's an exciting part of the game. But it just feel like they always messing with something that don't need to be. They trying to fix something that's not broken. Like, you messed with it last year. You changed the whole rule last year, and then it's like, come on, just leave it now. Leave. You ain't got to mess with it no more. Just leave it as is. They got the rule where the kicking team, they can't start running to the ball across a certain point. And it's just, I feel like they just always doing something that don't need to be done. Next question came from my guy, BuccoBeezy. He said, praying you and the family are doing well, including your dogs. And he said, I have too. Then they are loyal to the soil. Shout out to him. Appreciate you. He said, I believe Mark Andrews will be moved at some point during draft week. But what if this happened? Mark, the 27th overall pick, and a third rounder this year and a third next year. Oh, that's a lot. So Mark Andrews, a first round draft pick, and a third this year and a third next year for who? He said, for Jacksonville's 5th overall pick. Oh, okay. And we draft Will Campbell to play left guard. That would solve a lot of issues up front, and we have a top guard for 5 years cheap. Oof. Moving all of that to move way up to get a guard, I don't know. This could be just me. If he's a top guard, I get it, but moving all that for a guard, I don't think it would be worth it in my opinion. I don't. Because you got Ronnie Stanley, You got Tyler Linderbaum. So you got two really good players, and obviously the offensive line, it's a unit. So all of them got to be on point in order to make that unit really work. But I feel like you ain't got to move all of that just to get a good guard that you could plug in there. I feel like as far as guard, whether you do it at 27 or you do it later on, I feel like you could find somebody that could start and somebody that could be good enough to not well, that guy's just solid, but somebody who could be good for you. And you ain't got to move all of that to move up and get a guard. Now I do respect the fact that you say, hey, you want to get the best that there is right here, right now, coming out the draft. You got them for the next 5 years and hopefully so on and so forth after that too. But to do all that and it's just my opinion. I don't think it would be worth that. And again, that's just me. He said, last question, assuming we do get free of Mark. Well, you ain't got to say it like that. Get free of Mark? Like he holding us down. It's like, anyway, he said, do you believe that Ravens draft another tight end late to compete for snaps with Kohler? I like to do Mitchell Evans from Michigan and the Harbaugh connection because of his solid run blocking. Thank you, bro, and God bless. Yeah, they will definitely, because they're not going to just run with two tight ends. They're not just going to have Isaiah Likely and Charlie Kohler. If they do get rid of Mark Andrews, they're definitely going to get somebody else to be that third tight end. And I think if they did draft another tight end, then they would draft another pass catching tight end. Hopefully he could do pass catching and good run blocking too. But I think they will lean more towards a pass catching tight end because Charlie Kohler is that more run blocking tight end. And they will get another one to make some plays. This question came from my guy Bilal. He said, hello, my brother. Hello, Bilal. He said, I know it's been a while, just been super busy and going through a lot. Well, you know what? Even though you're going through a lot, and since you're able to write in about it, that means you're getting through a lot. So shout out to you. He said, and as always, hope you and your family are blessed as well. I know my emails come in late, but I work the evening shift. Been meaning to apologize for that, my friend. You ain't got nothing to apologize about. My phone, when I finally do sleep, I don't hear nothing. I put it on silent. But whenever y'all send in an email, whenever y'all got sending in a question, you could send it in 24 hours a day. It does not matter. Send it in when you think of your question. You're like, oh, okay, that's the one. You ain't got to wait till morning time. You ain't got to wait till send it in when you send it in. Don't worry about that. You ain't got nothing to apologize about, man. He said, and I'm still crossing my fingers that maybe you and Carter can give us a wrestling vid. He said, cough. WrestleMania is coming, and a review will be awesome. To get to my question, there are a lot of good free agents remaining. If you recall a previous question I sent in spoke about CJ Mosley. I know we have Roquan locked up and they're experimenting with Simpson, but what do you think about a reunion? Oh, yeah, we actually talked about that in the earlier video. I would not mind a CJ Mosley reunion at all. And what we talked about is that him and Roquan, they're very similar. They very good tacklers, very, very extremely smart geniuses on defense. Not very explosive, but again, you could bring in other linebackers in different packages and whatnot to blitz and whatnot. He said, listen, I understand he's been injury prone, but if we're looking at this from last year, he's a way better player than Malik Harrison. They're also very similar in play style, but my point is, even at his age, he will still be a dependable upgrade. I also wanted to spark some controversy. So yeah, I do agree with what you said. He said, I know D-Hop is your guy, but I would much rather picked up a Stefon Diggs. Really? And he said, I know what you might say. We need a big receiver to complement Zay and Bateman, which I agree, but Stefon Diggs is just a dog. Not taking nothing away from D-Hop, but I feel he's more versatile and is a better route runner. Yeah, I think he's a crispier route runner than DeAndre Hopkins. And he's a playmaker. He'll go up and get it. Like, he small frame, but Stefon Diggs, he plays big, man. He said, and if we would have signed Stefon Diggs, then that could have been our possible competition against the Chiefs and Taylor Swift, because we would have had Cardi B on us. So anyway, he said, please don't get on my case too hard, big bro. I know you have a very unique perspective as always. As always, he said, I thank you for your kindness and your time. And like Cody Rhodes, title reign WrestleMania, I'm out. Yeet. Love you, bro. Hey, appreciate that, Bilal. Thank you, man. Next question came from my guy Malik. He said, Ingraven, hope the family as well, and I love watching videos. Hey, I appreciate you watching them. Thank you, Malik. He said, I would like your input on what if we signed Isaiah Simmons as a linebacker? I think we can't just put trust in Trenton Simpson just yet, and Isaiah Simmons has a similarity to Patrick Queen's play style. He's a Giant, right? I think he's still with the Giants. I'm pretty sure. I don't think he's a free agent. If he is, then I missed something. But, yeah, I'm pretty sure he is under contract. So we would not be able to sign him unless they traded for him. But, yeah, he's a very versatile guy. Remember when he first got drafted, I think, what was he, a safety? But then they didn't know what to do with him, and he just got moved around, and it had just been a mess. But I think he sort of found his home at linebacker just as a versatile guy.